Hello, this is Mrs. Schaefer, and I wanted to go through the Solubility Lab with you. So these are walkthrough instructions. I'm using the instructions to help me out. And what I'm going to want to do is go into the content under 6.05, which is in Unit 4. I'm going to want to download the lab, and then I will also end up going into the Solubility Lab, which is under Investigation. So I'll need both of those things to help me through this to help answer the first couple of questions. So let's go do that. So we're on our home page. Going to go click Content, and it will open up to the last place that you have been. And so right here you can use these tabs. So Unit 4, Chapter 6, and then the Lesson 6.05. I'm going to go click on this to open up the lab. As it loads, I'm going to go File, Download As, and Microsoft Word. So that way I have that on my computer. And then I'm going to also go in. The reading is in there, but I know that the lab is found in Investigations on page 2. I'm going to need to enable my Adobe. And then it will open up in the lab. And you definitely want to go through the tutorial. It will show you a lot of information that hopefully you'll catch. I know it will be a little bit fast here. So I'm going to just choose my glove. And start. And then I see this lab. So it has a Station 1, some beakers, and a Station 2, and a Station 3. All right, so we need to go in and define solubility, explain how we know if something is saturated, and then use those terms solute and solvent to help us out. Very, very helpful to us as we work through this information. You can use that word wall or your class notes to help you out. Then you're going to be using information from the 6.03, 6.04 lab. So definitely make sure you transfer those notes over. You will need them, otherwise go back and view that recording. You'll be restating or stating a hypothesis. The goal of the lab is to see how temperature is going to affect solubility. There are other factors, but this is what we're going to look in this lab is temperature. And here's a hint for you. You can use something else as long as you're talking about the temperature and the solubility. You can use any of the words you would like to use. And we have for the first part, 2 data stations and a graph. So the first thing we're going to want to do is collect the data and then graph. And then notice the points. Very large amount of points here. So you're going to go into that solubility lab, just like I said, pick your glove. This is some snips from the tutorial. But it will talk about what you need to focus on for stations 1 and 2. Basically, we're going to be taking a solute and putting it in a solvent using these different scoops. And I'm going to give you some instructions for that you can follow right here. So I recommend that you have the instructions open because I have hints. Okay, so what we're going to do is place one of the beakers on the bench. We're going to take it off the hot plate. And then we're going to put a thermometer in it. And then we're going to scoop some of this potassium chloride, the KCl, into the water. Now notice that it says you don't want to just use the large scoop, the 5-gram scoop. You're going to need to use the 5-gram scoop and the 1-gram scoop. But I've given you a help for the first start, and that is for that first beaker. Put in 25 grams of KCl in the beaker, stir, and then switch to the 1 gram. So I've saved you some time in that. So what you're doing is you're trying to figure out when precipitant tries to form, or in other words, when the solution is saturated. When it's saturated, a precipitant will start to form along the sides of the bottom. That means everything's saturated. And then you're going to repeat these steps with B and D. Each of the conditions are different. Then we also have a hint up here. Beaker A temperature needs to be under 7 degrees, and then we need to zoom in. Then we're going to go in and look at this blown up. So I have some screens blown up. So notice here, no precipitant at the bottom. Notice there, precipitant is seen right there, just a little bit. So now that is saturated, and that's what gets recorded in our documents. Notice how big this screen is. So you will have to be careful in looking at. That's why I gave you some hints. You're going to complete for each of these stations, A, B, C, D, the temperature of the water and the amount of solvent that you added before or until it was saturated. Then you're going to go into station 2 using a different solute, but you see that you still have 4 beakers, and this time you're using potassium chlorate, which is KClO3 in the water. There's a hint also for you, and then it says in this case place 1 gram at a time, and you're doing the same thing for station 2. So pretty easy there in the sense, and I've given you a little help there. You're going to collect that data, then you're going to go back and graph it. So let's go to that point. We probably won't get much further than that in this recording, but what you're going to do is graph it, and then you're going to want a best fit line because we're going to use that for our station 3. At station 2, there's just 2 beakers. You're going to remove them, one of beaker A from the hot plate. You're going to put that thermometer in, and then you're going to watch the temperature. When does precipitates form as it cools? Then you're going to record that information and do the same thing with beaker B. You have to do them separately. Again, you're looking for that precipitant to form, and you're going to write down that temperature right there. And then what you're going to need to do is you're going to identify which it is. Is it the KCl or the KClO3? Well, the way to do that is you're going to have to go back to your graph, and it gives you information here. You're going to put both of those points on your graph and see which one comes closest to the best fit line. So that will tell you which solute you have. So it's a fun activity. Let's see if we can go in and do that. So I'll go back over here to our station 1, and I am going to zoom in. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out, and then see I have my thermometer, nice digital thermometer. I have my stirring rod, and in the instructions it told me to go through and start with a certain amount and then slow down. Oops. So I'm going to use, it's 5, and you're probably going to want to keep tally marks. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Now normally you would stir between each one, but I had said to go ahead and put, oh, it's not going to let me put it down. There it is. To put 25 in, so that works. You're going to want to stir it. You see it all dissolves. Now we need to switch to the 1 gram scoop. So 25, 26, you'll see it takes time. 27, 28, 'Still not seeing that precipitant. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more. Starting to see some down there. If I stir it, does it go away? Oh, no, it doesn't. Look at that. It comes back. It went away and then it came back. So I'm going to record that temperature and that amount. So I'm going to put that on my chart. And I'm going to go to the next. So I'm going to just go to each of these beakers and do the same thing. If I get in trouble where I'm not sure, I can go through and reset the lab. I hope that helps. I will show you in another video the rest of this lab just because it takes a little bit of time to go through this lab. But that's the help that you have. If you need no further help, then continue on your way. Have a great day.